they are in multiple instances now basically acting like women are too stupid to competitively play against men. Ultimately, the issue is about them wanting to have spaces that like don't have icky people in them. Do y'all remember that the guy who is a chess player and he admitted that he had cheated on like online chess and stuff, and then he was accused of somehow cheating, and we weren't into it was kind of unclear for a bit like how he could have cheated, and then people were like, yes, he has an anal plug and it's like a vibrator or something. And that, was wonderful. It gave us the meme of I cannot speak.
If I speak, I am in big trouble.
You got some solid memes out of the chess world, right? Not everything is so nice in the chess world. Hello, YouTube. In the future, the chess regulator bans trans women from competitive play for 2 years. Quote, "These are dark days." So this is quite recent news. Trans women are going to be banned from competitive chess tournaments for up to 2 years internationally. Like the International Chess Federation has now announced a list of council meeting decisions. Among the decisions is updating the policy on chess player participation for transgender participants. Now, I'm probably going to spin this as trans women too smart to play chess anymore, but this is going to affect trans men as well. So I just want to make that clear that this is kind of going to negatively affect all trans people who play chess. The newly approved policy decrees that trans women have, quote, "no right to participate in official FIDE events for women until further decisions are made." Quote, such decisions should be made based on further analysis and shall be taken by the FIDE Council at the earliest possible time, but no longer than within that 2-year period. Players who have recently come out as trans will be placed in an open section for now. So I guess you can play co-ed, like if there's already a league that is for men and women. As a trans person, you're allowed to play in that one, but as a trans woman, you're not allowed to play versus women. Fun story, their ruling is actually not legal according to UK law of all places. It's going to be fun to see all the ramifications of this. The chess regulator offered no reasons for its decision, but added that the rules applied to all competitions under its associated organizations. And then here's how it affects transgender men. Trans men are reportedly set to be stripped of any titles that they won pre-transition, unless they were to change their gender back to a woman, and then they can prove the ownership of the respective FIDE ID that holds the title. So you would have to change your name. Like, do you have to not only change your gender back, but you have to, like, change your name back or something? I don't know. But yeah, so if you played as a woman and then you transitioned, you're going to retroactively lose your title. And trans women, I mean, is it also going to be like trans women who won as women will not be able to keep their titles? Or have there not been instances of trans women winning, and so there are no people to strip titles from? Yeah, like, why do we even have a gender divide in the first place in chess? Like, what possible reason could there be for this to be, like, discriminated against in this way? Like, I mean, like, why is there a men's and women's league in the first place? Well, okay, so here's the reason, I think, that there's a men's and women's in the first place. It's because chess players who are men are super toxic. Like, just super duper duper toxic, And in the same way that, computer science tends to be dominated by men and certain STEM fields tend to be dominated by men, the reason is because sexism and harassment and sexual assault are normalized in certain spaces. And, like, so then you, in some cases, create a separate women's league because women want one, like women want to play without having to deal with all those things. And so then they want to be, like, alone and, like, not having to play versus men, which, like, the problem that you address, I think that you should just address the sexism and stuff and start disqualifying players who are acting, in such a way as to make the sport inaccessible to people, rather than going with, like, a separate but equal, protected categories kind of way with this. Yeah, and interestingly, the FIDE Ethics and Disciplinary Code 2022 states in Section 6.6 that it does not tolerate discrimination in chess on the basis of race, gender, ethnic origin, color, culture, religion, political opinion, marital status, sexual orientation, or any unfair or other irrelevant factor. except as permitted by law. We don't discriminate unless it's allowed. Oh no. All right, I want to see if Erin Reed has anything additional to add to this. So, looking at her thing, the regulations reported online by French transgender FIDE master Yosha Iglesias spells out a list of policy changes applying to transgender competition in chess. Yeah, trans men must relinquish their women category titles after transitioning. Transgender women can keep their previous titles when they were in the men's league, I'm guessing. Trans women have, quote, no right to compete in the women's division. Trans women will be, quote, evaluated by the FIDE Council on if they will be allowed to compete in a process that may take up to 2 years. FIDE can mark transgender players as transgender in their files. No way that could go badly. Gender changes must, quote, comply with the player's national laws and may include birth certificate documents, despite many nations refusing to change trans birth certificates. This isn't the first instance of scrutiny regarding trans participation in non-physical competitions. In 2022, oh my god, I remember this! Transgender Jeopardy champion Amy Schneider set the record as the highest winning woman in Jeopardy history. Following her success, several anti-trans voices online claimed that she unfairly took the title from, quote, real women. Whoa, okay, the camera's doing its thing again. Suggesting that transgender women, possess an inherent advantage in trivia over cis women. So it's like they're literally making the argument that like cis women are dumber than men, like because they're considering trans women to be men, right? So when I'm it's like they are in multiple instances now basically acting like women are too stupid to competitively play against men. Yeah, this is not the checkmate these people think it is. It's just like the biggest self-own ever. Like, just because you feel inferior to men doesn't mean that women are inferior to men. Honestly, just sounds like a skill issue. Truly. Yeah, I mean, they also, like, act like... It's like, are trans people intellectually superior? Is that the angle? Or are they just saying men are superior mentally? Like, I don't know. Guys, it's okay. I started TransFem HRT and my IQ immediately dropped by, like, 30. Yeah, not only do you end up at the same level physically as cis women after a couple years of HRT, but you're also just as blonde and ditzy. You transition into the bimbo. Instead of the bimbo picking up a book and transitioning into your friendly neighborhood lesbian, it's the other way around. You transition into a bimbo. All the IQ goes into the boobs. You know, the IQ is stored in the boobs. Yeah, so there's no logic behind revoking titles from trans men who had transitioned in the women's category previously, or had played in the women's category previously. No explanation for that. These rules are delaying trans women from competing for up to 2 years while this gender is examined thing. Given that the usual, quote, unfair argument doesn't apply logically in this context, these regulations appear to unfairly target trans individuals while sidestepping even the usual arguments against trans competition. The idea that they believe women are dumber than men is honestly the steelman version of their argument. I mean, they do think that, but their grievance comes from believing that trans people are gross and need to go away. They want us excluded and feel slighted when a trans woman gets a spot they feel should go to a, quote, normal. Well, yeah, of course. Like, at the end of the day, this is always about just wanting trans people to be invisible and wanting them to not be successful, you know? Which, by the way, since this is going to be a segment on YouTube later, speaking of trans success, I have a Patreon. I've been posting there even for free sometimes, so check that out if you want to. There's a link in the cards, and there's a link in the description, and this is my job to talk about this news and bring it to you. So if you'd like to support, please and thank you. Also hit like, maybe, whatever. No skin off my ass. It's transphobia all the way down. And, like, yeah, computer science isn't inherently masculine or feminine. Like, none of these things are inherently masculine or feminine. It's just, like, men get, like, harassed by other men when they go into a traditionally feminine role like nursing. And women get, like, constantly undercut by men who are jealous of them in similar positions when they go into a male-dominated field. Because, like, male supremacy is being threatened, ultimately, you know? That's why women get the shaft end of the deal. If they want us to be invisible, maybe they should encourage us to start hormones at the onset of puberty. Transness would all but disappear. Well, no, transness wouldn't disappear. They would still have to, like, accept that trans people are what we are. And they want us dead, to be clear. They don't want us invisible, I should clarify. They want us to be dead or desisting. And It's not like they will capitulate by giving us puberty blockers when we ask for them. Riley Gaines defends ban on trans women in chess. You hear the argument about brain size and brain ability. That's missing the point. That's missing the point somehow.
World Chess Federation bars transgender women from competing in women's chess events. What do you make of that? Not an athletic sport. It's a mental sport. I mean, all sports are mental to some extent, but what do you make of that?
I think it's really interesting because we have sports such as powerlifting, which is, of course, sheerly based on strength, who aren't even taking this much precaution. And so I applaud the Chess Association. It's, you know, you hear the argument about brain size and brain ability if it differs between male and female. But I think that's missing the point. The point is that the women's category is meant for women, and having men compete in it is still taking spots away from women. The women's chess category, I guess, was created for a reason, and they're upholding that. And so I applaud the Chess Association for the decision and really prioritizing fairness, prioritizing what it means.
Can we just say, like, how absurd it is that you get on Fox News and you're on your fucking phone, clearly using, like, your phone's inbuilt camera and microphone both? Like, is this the standard? Put me on the news. I have, like, actual equipment. I'm not being driven somewhere in a car. Like, the like, lack of professionalism here is part of what is bothering me so much. But yeah, like, she also reveals the women's category is meant for women. This white bitch, this white blonde bitch is confirming what I've been saying about the bathrooms issue for like a year, is that ultimately the issue is about them wanting to have spaces that, like, don't have icky people in them, you know? It's literally the same logic as wanting a colored-only bathroom versus a whites-only bathroom. It's like white women just believe that they should have the right to not see people that they don't want to see. It's like and it goes all the way back to having, like, servants' quarters and, like, a separate door to the house where the servants came in, and they have, like, all these, like, corridors and, like, hallways and stuff for the servants to go from room to room without ever having to be acknowledged by the people who, like, own them or whatever, you know? Like, it's all about white women just wanting to be exempt from having to exist in public, basically. Like, they're like, I have no choice but to go do my own grocery shopping because I don't own a slave like my great-great-grandmommy did. So what I would like is to go to a grocery store where there are no black women or trans people. Like, is, you know? Tuning into Fox News to watch the Luxander show. Truly, all trans women aspire to be as much of a dumb blonde bimbo as Riley Gaines. Truly. So, yeah, Ari continues saying, stop gaslighting us with your argument that trans women can't play sports with other women because it's supposedly unfair if there's actually no circumstance, venue, or level of competition where you think trans women should be included. Riley Gaines has built her career in right-wing media on Leah Thomas' name. Oh, is this that girl? This is that girl who was like, I didn't even race against Leah Thomas, but because we changed in the same locker room, I'm going to cry about it. But there was at least one positive outcome about this whole chess thing, is that the English Chess Federation, quote, will not exclude trans women, despite the international ban. So the English Chess Federation said that it will not be a pawn in the International Chess Federation's anti-trans game, and will continue to welcome all players, which is, like, pretty funny. Because there are just so many anti-trans people in the UK, including, like, the actual prime minister right now. Excuse me. And, like, plenty of MPs and other government officials and people who work within the NHS. All kinds of transphobia on Turf Island. But no, we have the policy, of course, The ECF, the governing chess organization in England, announced on social media that it will not exclude trans women, and, quote, this position will not change, despite the FIDE's policy. Trans women have worked on behalf of the ECF and played in ECF events, as have trans women in various other chess federations. The ECF notes that similar positions have been adopted by the German Chess Federation, the French Chess Federation, and the United States Chess Federation. The new FIDE rules are also incompatible with English law, particularly with regard to the release of personal data. We cannot see the point of the 2-year suspension of the right to participate in women-only competitions, which we view as discriminatory. ECF restates its commitment to being an inclusive organization that is welcoming to all. So it's like, not only is this policy sparking backlash amongst queer groups, trans rights activists, and all that, but in the English League, English Chess Federation, again, on one of the most transphobic islands on this planet, they're reaffirming trans women's right to participate as women within the league. So yeah, of all places, it's England. But it's good to see. After so much stupidity about it, it's nice to see that there are, you know, like several countries who are saying, we are going to just stand up to this. This is not in line with our values. The 2-year imposition on your inability to play is like uncool. Also interesting is that the English Federation, I believe, is the oldest one in chess. Like it was founded in, like, chess leagues were a thing beginning in England. That, I mean, I wouldn't put it past for sure. So yeah, I will say it's nice to see that little bit of good news, and it's like funny and still frustrating because like I can't just leave it at haha, you people are dumb, you think that trans women are like biologically superior to cis women, because I know that it ultimately is like part of the like fascist attempt to squeeze trans people out of public existence and like force us out of the spaces that we rightfully occupy. But at least we get a little bit, we get a nugget, we get a little taste, a little morsel of good news. Chess.com is also woke. Oh yeah, and so of course, like, and I don't want to go too far into this here at the end, but I will say that, you know, speaking to the whole difference between men's and women's chess and things, there are women chess players who are denouncing the sexist behavior as well. Chess.com article contains mentions of sexual abuse that may be triggering for readers. A group of women chess players come out and say, quote, "We are convinced that this harassment and these assaults are still one of the main reasons why women and young girls, especially in their teens, stop playing chess." And it goes on, like, 14 of France's top women chess players have published an open letter denouncing the sexist or sexual violence that they have suffered. So there is already kind of an upset happening. You know, this article came out August 4, or was updated August 4, so it may have come out before that. And this was, like, there's already some shakiness going on within the chess world regarding the treatment of different players based on their genders. So at the same time as we have people going, oh, we need to protect women's chess, they're also allowing women to be, like, harassed or abused in the like, anytime they're coming in contact with men. So I strongly suspect this announcement was using transphobia to avoid discussing the wider sexism issues. Could be, well, yeah, okay, so I think that's fair. That the FIDE had this council meeting and that they're pushing this news about transphobia and like maybe even just using it like, oh, maybe even in 2 years they plan on allowing trans women to participate, but they're trying to cover for this whole sexism scandal. Could very well be the case. To be fair, any trans person is probably smarter than any transphobe, so they are right in a way. Listen, trans people have the right to be stupid, okay? We have the right to be no thoughts head empty. Let trans people be stupid. We deserve it. Thank you to my supporters, especially Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvog, Michelle Frateroli, Danielle McDonald, Amanda B., Spooky Heather Sylvia, Athiet, Kevin Young, Sarah A., Michelle Winter, Past Null Infinity, Robin Olson, Jamie Jam, Desi Quiche, Suzanne Maynard, Nova, Elizabeth Bartell, Mr. Atheist, Sojo, and DZXN.